This episode is sponsored by Dr. Chrono by EverHealth, the #1 mobile all-in-one EHR. Built specifically for medical practices, Dr. Chrono includes an integrated feature that powers a seamless payments acceptance experience. Dr. Chrono Payments offers multiple ways for patients to pay as well as insurance credit card processing. As a Dr. Chrono customer, you can easily activate our fully integrated payment solution that will streamline your cash flow and help you get paid anytime from anywhere. Deliver the best patient experience with a fast and easy way to collect payments. Visit drchrono.com/payments. That's drchrono.com/payments to learn more about Dr. Chrono today. Direct primary care is an innovative, alternative path to insurance-driven healthcare. Typically, a patient pays their doctor a low monthly membership and, in return, builds a lasting relationship with their doctor and has their doctor available at their fingertips. Welcome to the My DPC Story podcast, where each week you will hear the ever-so-relatable stories shared by physicians who have chosen to practice medicine in their individual communities through the direct primary care model. I'm your host, Marielle Conception, family physician, DPC owner, and former fee-for-service doctor. I hope you enjoy today's episode and come away feeling inspired about the future of patient care, direct primary care.
Direct primary care means restoring the patient-physician relationship. It also is an opportunity for me to just practice medicine the way that I had envisioned practicing medicine. I previously worked and was employed with a hospital group working in the outpatient setting. I was not happy, was not fulfilled, not practicing medicine how I envisioned it. And DPC was my way out. Hi, my name is Dr. Kristamarie Collman, and I'm the owner of Prōse Medical and Wellness. And this is my DPC story.
Dr. Kristamarie Collman is a double board-certified family medicine doctor and author of Glow Up Your Life, the RX for looking and feeling good from the inside out. Leveraging her professional background and medicine paired with a natural flair for beauty and style, Dr. Kristamarie takes a holistic approach in helping professional women to enhance their lives. Beyond the doctor's office, Dr. Kristamarie is a vivacious social media influencer that has captured the hearts of thousands around the country with her aspirational style, wellness advice, and inspirational pep talks. She is the co-founder of Young Lady Watching, Inc., a nonprofit organization empowering underrepresented minority women pursuing healthcare-related careers to reach their full potential through mentoring, education, and leadership development. Additionally, Dr. Kristamarie holds a position as Assistant Professor of Family Medicine at the University of Central Florida College of Medicine. Dr. Kristamarie is board certified by the American Board of Family Medicine, specializing in preventative health, nutrition, and weight management. She is a diplomate of the American Board of Obesity Medicine and provides care to patients in the outpatient and urgent care settings. She is currently located in Orlando, Florida, and is the founder and CEO of Prōse Medical and Wellness, a concierge medical practice providing personalized primary care and wellness services. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Collman.
Hi there. I'm excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
It is such an honor to talk with you again. Earlier this summer, you and I had shared the stage at the DPC Summit in Kansas City. And so I love that this is another space for you to share a little bit more of your story with the audience, especially for those who weren't able to make it. So I wanted to start with the fact that you have said, even in your intro, that you wanted to practice where you could feel free to practice as you wanted to. When we think about that, I want to go into a little bit more of your background and your history, because one of the things that you've created is Young Lady Watching, which is a nonprofit geared towards helping other women, realize their value and realize the possibilities are endless in these lives of ours. And so I would love if you could share with us your experience as a woman in medicine, and as a woman who inspires and mentors others on this journey we call life.
Sure. So as a woman in medicine, and I'll be honest, it's been a long journey, and at times it's been very, very lonely. It's been lonely and it's been challenging, but it's also been filled with a number of highs and wins and good things along the way. As I'm sure many other women, may have experienced, just a number of frustrations and challenges starting from when they were younger, high school, college, into medical school and residency. For myself, I dealt a lot with imposter syndrome. I dealt a lot with advisors and people telling me that I would never become a doctor, that this wasn't the path for me. What was my plan B, plan C? That they just really didn't believe in this dream that I had. And so I had to do a lot of fighting and find dedication deep down within and drive to just keep going. Through those personal stories, I was brave enough to share those stories on social media. And by sharing those stories and those experiences, I was able to create and build a very small community of others who related to those same stories, of others who related to people asking, "Oh, are you the doctor?" Even though I have a white coat on and I have a badge that says MD or doctor, people, asking, when's the doctor coming in, and so forth. So by sharing these stories, we created this community and it really resonated with people. And so that's, leads into a little bit about with social media. And again, it leads into why I wanted to start Young Lady Watching, right? I actually started it with a good friend and colleague of mine. The mission of Young Lady Watching is really to empower underrepresented minority women who are pursuing healthcare related careers to reach their full potential through mentoring, education, and leadership development, because these were a few things that we didn't have on our journey. The goal is to increase the presence of minority women in various areas of healthcare, just by trying to remove some of those barriers, right? We've heard statistics, we know the numbers for women in medicine, especially for Black women in medicine. They're shockingly low. I mean, we're talking single digits here. So an organization such as Young Lady Watching is needed. And, again, just by providing this support through mentorship and scholarship opportunities to also ease financial strain, and just provide a lot of support, because as I mentioned, these were just things that myself and the co-founder, we didn't have on our path to medicine and to becoming doctors.
Absolutely. And, everyone has their why, and it's because of people's whys that beautiful things are created. And so, the fact that you've created Young Lady Watching with your friend with the purpose specifically of targeting those women who are underrepresented groups in medicine will continue to compound and compound and compound over time, because every person that is involved is going to mentor another person, whether that be, a few words of encouragement or long-term mentorship. And with you sharing how lonely the journey can be, it was heartbreaking to hear, because I can relate to that when other people around you will suggest other careers other than your dream because of the beliefs that they have about you. And so that's so wonderful that you guys have created this program. And I definitely will say we will add a link to Young Lady Watching and mention the scholarship opportunities on Dr. Collman's accompanying blog. So if you want to know more information, please go ahead and check that out on mydpcstory.com. So as you went from this place of believing in yourself and growing from there, why did you decide on primary care?
So I decided on primary care during third year of medical school, between third and fourth year, because I really loved everything, right? That's always the response. You loved a little bit of everything. And I was inspired by one of my faculty advisors in my medical school, who was also a primary care physician. So I knew that it was an opportunity for me to do a little bit of procedures in the office, to do a little bit of preventative care, which is a big thing for me. And I also loved the lifestyle that I saw for some of the doctors that I shadowed. So that's how I ended up coming into primary care.
Amazing. And, I hope that especially as people see direct primary care physicians like yourself in practice, they will see not only the joy of being a primary care physician and being a relationship-based doctor, but also the joy that DPC brings. So with that, I want to ask you, how did you even find out about DPC?
I did attend one of the DPC conference probably 2 years ago, and that was where I got my feet wet. And then even before then, I spoke with a few DPC doctors, some big names in the DPC world. And I said, okay, this is cool, but I'm still not too sure about it. I'm kind of comfortable in this, position here, but I'll just keep watch. And after I attended the conference, I was like, I got to take the leap. I got to take the leap because my livelihood and happiness and desire to continue practicing medicine depends on it.
And sadly, that is an experience and a feeling that many of us can relate to. So I want to ask there, when you talked about in your intro about how you were an employed physician, and then you went to this conference and you were like, this is it. This is the way I have to practice medicine in the future. What was your transition like? Did you transition right away after that conference, or did you plan while employed?
Right. So I did. I planned a little bit. I was full-time at that time. I was living in Atlanta, and then my partner and I decided to move temporarily to Virginia for a short while. While in Virginia, I returned to an employed position, but then I went part-time. And while I was doing part-time, I was also doing more research for DPC and planning how, once we finished our short stay in Virginia, then I would make that leap into DPC wherever we'd move to afterwards.
And when you were researching DPC, in addition to talking to fellow mentors, what types of resources did you find extremely helpful?
There were a few books on Amazon that I read, but the most helpful, honestly, was talking to physicians, finding out what are some of the basics that I need to make sure I have and take care of right now in order to start this, right? What are the funds going to look like? What does your day-to-day look like? What are your gripes, right? Because no job is 100%. We're always 100% happy, right? What are some of the things that make you happy in your job? What are some of the things that bother you right now in your office? But I, like I said, the biggest help for me was talking directly to physicians who were in practices that I aspired to have.
I love that advice, making the most of talking with other physicians. And for me, it definitely aligns with your experience through that loneliness that you had described. And also, the antidote to that loneliness is building a tribe around you. And so finding the people who have practices like you, who practice medicine like you, who have the same dreams, in terms of what it means to have balance in their life with family time, with practice time, et cetera, to find kindred spirits is so important. And that's why things like the DPC Summit are so important to attend, because you don't know who you're going to meet. I keep saying that over and over because that is so true. And it happens to me every time I meet someone new everywhere I go at one of those summits. So with that said, I want to ask about, as you were talking with physicians, as you were dreaming and planning, what did your ideal DPC look like?
So ideally, it looked like small to medium sized. If we're thinking about the big scheme of things, myself and another physician at some point, the patient panel size maybe ranging between 250 to 300, ideally serving people from my community, small business owners, entrepreneurs, and individuals who have insurance and those who don't have insurance. Really being able to provide care to those who value their health and their wellness, and those who are open to a new model of care, because as we know, it's not new. It's been around for years, but it's new to the people, right? The people are used to a different, to insurance-based care.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you to Spruce Health for supporting the My DPC Story podcast. The ways we communicate have changed dramatically over the past decades, but technology and tools in healthcare have not kept pace. Patients want more access and digital convenience, as well as the ability to text their care teams. Care teams are inundated with more communication and rising expectations, but are still using tools and technology stuck in prior decades. Spruce Health created a solution for the tech-forward DPC practice by creating a communication product designed to serve both the patient and the doctor through intuitive HIPAA-compliant workflows, tagging, scheduled messages, and triage templates ready for use, whether you're on your phone or in the exam room. New users get 20% off for the first 12 months of a paid plan with code MARYAL20. That's MARYAL20. So check out Spruce Health today at sprucehealth.com or check out the link in the show notes. Amen to that. I absolutely agree there. Now, you shared how you were in Virginia and then you were going to see, what unfolded in terms of where you were going to practice. So how did you decide on moving to the Orlando area? And can you share how it was for you to be in a place where you had not practiced before when you opened your DPC?
Sure. It was a mix of emotions. Oh my goodness. It was exciting and scary. So we decided on Orlando. It was a joint decision between myself and my partner. We had been here before. I did my residency here in Florida, but not in Orlando. And so I said, we'd like to go to a major city where there's diverse population. There's lots of things to do for young professionals. And that's how we came about with Orlando. It's growing, it's thriving. And again, it just has a lot of young professionals here. But coming to a city where you're not known, where you have no patient base, where you essentially have to start from scratch is scary. It is scary. But again, doing research, talking to people, I'd known that it was done before. And if it was done before, I certainly can do it again. Would it be as easy as 1, 2, 3? No, definitely would take a lot of work and a lot of hitting the pavement, but it's doable.
In terms of when you moved to Orlando, did you have other DPC physicians in Orlando that you could talk with, or did you also talk with other health and wellness related professionals?
Both. I had conversations on both sides, and that was also helpful. I reached out to other networks, people I'd met online, groups that I'm a part of online as well, and they were able to provide a few resources. But I knew a lot of the work would be on myself to get out into the community, to reach out to other physicians, cold reaching out to other physicians, cold reaching out to businesses, and really try to get my name known.
When you were cold reaching out, how did you manage that? What did that look like?
Well, when we moved here, it was the middle of the pandemic. So, Florida is different. There was no pandemic in Florida. However, when we came here, we still understood that there was a pandemic. And so it involved a little bit of, there was some going out, trying to meet people face to face, but the majority of it happened online. I joined and reached out to small business groups with, for example, SCORE here, tried to get involved with other lead groups. And again, on Facebook groups, just sending people messages. Also on social media, sending people messages in their DMs. That's what it looked like for me.
Gotcha. And I definitely want to hit hard on social media and your experience and your expertise there. But I want to ask a few more questions in regards to your practice. So when you were looking for a physical space, were you always determined to have a space, or did you ever consider doing telemedicine and then transitioning to a physical space later on?
So when we first moved here, I started off virtual. I started offering my services virtually. And that provided just a comfortable stepping stone before saying, okay, I'd like to get a physical space. As people started reaching out to me for services, also came along the question, well, where's your office located? And once I started hearing more of where's your office located, I said, maybe it's time for me to look into a space. I didn't want to get a huge space because, again, still growing, still getting my footing in the city. But to find a small space where you're able to do your work, practice medicine. And we all know in order to practice medicine, you don't need a huge space, right? You can do a lot from one room.
Yes, absolutely true. And it's so inspiring to remind people of that when they see photos of people's offices where it's just a one room space. And even how successful people who are doing telemedicine with home visits without a brick and mortar success is also very possible in DPC. But I love that you transitioned after getting your feet wet. And you and I opened it around the same time. So I really love and I feel all of those words to my bones because, the things that change and you don't know that they need to change early on really become apparent as your practice grows. So as you were growing, as you were reaching out to the community, how did your practice grow? Like who were the patients joining your practice?
So people that were joining my practice included small business owners. This was very attractive to them because I might hear a lot about the cost of insurance premiums, and they just at that point they were going without any sort of health care. Business owners, and then also millennials, younger individuals, younger working individuals who, again, they valued their wellness, their health. They had seen me or they followed me on social media, and they happened to be in the state of Florida. So those were some of my initial patients.
Awesome. And I hope 3 of your new patients happen from my cousin who works at SeaWorld because I told him about your practice and he was like, wait a minute. So, and then he went into all the DPC questions and I was like, and she's right here. And so I hope that, some more millennials come your way. But yeah, it's absolutely interesting how each community attracts different types of people. And so especially for you, like with people coming there seasonally, I could easily see how millennials, when they're sick and not at home, can get very frustrated with the local urgent care scene. So amazing. And in terms of your space, I just want to go back there. Are you renting it? Or did you buy it outright?
So yes, I decided that I wanted to rent initially, again, to see how things go. I envisioned slow growth, which is to be expected. And I didn't want to feel as though I was initially, tied down to a space for years to come. So initially renting right now, which I think has been the best choice for me.
I think back on Dr. John Jacobson when he said, why buy what you can rent? Why rent what you can steal? And going into that second category, I think is very smart to figure out if you like, especially if you're not starting out brick and mortar, if you like going brick and mortar, if the space is going to work for how you need it to work for your patients. And it gives you the time to grow income. So if you want to build your own place, buy a place, et cetera, just like you have transitioned from telemedicine to then offering brick and mortar as well as telemedicine, the possibilities are endless. What are some of the workflows that you've realized needed changes and how have you changed those?
I did end up bringing on an assistant because initially I was getting a lot of phone calls. And while I was trying to balance other areas, other business owner things, I wasn't able to always get back to the phone calls, to calling patients. So getting an assistant was very helpful, someone who is just able to call back patients, letting them know, the website, where they can get more information, setting up meet and greets if that's needed. Was very important to me and helped a lot with getting new patients.
How do meet and greets work in your practice at Prōse Medical and Wellness?
So I love the meet and greet, or what I also call an introductory visit option, because many times when, as we all know, when you're going to the doctor, you don't get the opportunity to meet your doctor before you have your appointment. So that's what I look at these meet and greets as, opportunities for the patients to get to know me, for me to get to know the patients, and for us to see if we're a good fit together. And that's what I explain to them. I allocate about 20 to 30 minutes for these appointments. And I have a site where the patients can actually go on there and they book it and set it up themselves. And we sit and we chat. And if they decide that this is a good fit for them, then we move forward from there.
Amazing. Now I want to hit on branding because you have your branding for your clinic, but you also have your branding with regards to Dr. Kristamarie and your social media platform. And so I'm wondering if you could share a high-level view about your thoughts on branding. When a person is developing their branding and how to craft their branding so that they continue to stay on brand going into the future.
So that's a great question, and a few things to consider when it comes to, your personal brand and also just a brand for your business. You want to keep in mind your goals and your mission. So your personal goals, the goals and mission for the business, and you want to make sure that your thoughts or your actions moving forward are reflective of those goals. You also want to think about, obviously, the pretty aspects of it, the photo, the imagery, and you want to make sure that those are reflective of your brand as well too. In terms of especially colors, you want to make sure that when people see, certain colors, certain photos or imagery, that they can connect that to you and to your business.
Such helpful thoughts and advice for people or especially opening their clinics. Now, on that, I want to ask, because you have drkristamarie.com as well as Prōse Medical and Wellness, how do you decide what goes on Prōse Medical and Wellness and what goes on your personal branding?
I try to keep the two, in a sense, separate, but with the same understanding that when people are considering the practice, when they're considering Prōse Medical and Wellness, they also want to get to know the person behind the practice, right? They want to get to know me. On the social media page for Prōse Medical, if you check it out, you will see a variety of posts that are really showcasing some of the practice benefits that we see for direct primary care practices. And you'll also see more so some medical and health information. On the Dr. Kristamarie side, if you go to that page and you visit it, you get another mix and another splash of colorful posts just showcasing who Dr. Kristamarie is. You get a little bit of Prōse in there, but you also get some of the other aspects that make me who I am, right? Make me who I am, who I've become into today, right? You get to find out a little bit about my personal journey as a woman in medicine. You get to find out some of the things that I like when it comes to, fashion and skincare and beauty. You get a little bit of the wellness and health aspects and just how to, stay healthy and by saying how to just glow from the inside out. So when those are some of the things I think about when I'm saying, I'm going to share this to the Prōse Medical social media, or I'm going to share this to the Dr. Kristamarie social media.
How do you balance the time for patients as well as managing your social media accounts?
Yeah. Somehow it's a little juggling act, and honestly, things just flow nicely. I try not to focus my life on strictly creating content, right? I try to have my content revolve around my life in a sense. So when I'm in the practice, if I if I've experienced something that day, whether it's a personal experience or through a conversation with a colleague or a patient, I think to myself, maybe there's a lesson here, or maybe there's something else that I could share with someone out there who would benefit from it. Oh, that would be a great social media post. So then I take that experience and I say, okay, I'm going to just share something brief on it. I have also just over time, I've learned to not pressure myself so much into having, into feeling like I have to share every single aspect of my life, every single aspect of, the practice itself. And like I said, if I believe that someone is going to get something or some benefit out of sharing it, then I will post it to the social media page or to the stories or something, just to share that experience with others. But really, it's a balancing game.
And do you block time in your schedule to do patient care or admin stuff or social media?
I certainly do. I have blocks. That's how I am a schedule person. I have my planner. I have a calendar on the computer too. And I like blocks. So I do each week, I do have an admin day where I've blocked off set time to make sure I've caught up with patient charts and with just business aspects for the practice. And then I also block out specific times to even just jot down thoughts for posts for creating content. It's very important for me to make sure that I block out time for those things.
And what is your advice for people who are just getting started with social media, especially if it's social media for their clinic? Because a lot of people have experience with social media in terms of like family albums on Facebook or whatnot. But if they're branching into social media for their clinic, what would you recommend doing first?
I would recommend choosing one platform that you feel comfortable with and trying to remain consistent with that one platform, right? We have a plethora of options to choose from today. Each time we blink an eye, there's a new platform coming out. There's something else that's available to get our attention and grab our attention, from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube Shorts, TikTok Shorts, everything out there. And if you try to be present on all of them at one time, you're going to be exhausted and you're not going to be able to reach the people who you want to reach. So I would start by choosing one platform that you feel comfortable with. Start by choosing one form of the way that you would like to share your information that you feel comfortable with. So whether that's by post, a photo or caption, creating video if you feel comfortable with video content, and then moving forward with that and trying to come up with a schedule that will allow you to be consistent, whether that's posting or sharing information twice a week, once a week, every other day. You choose what feels right and what feels good for you.
And something that I want to highlight that you and Dr. Gupta had talked about during our presentation at the summit is the fact that even sharing posts that have already been created by other people is a way to engage if you are wanting more engagement, but you don't necessarily have more time to engage.
Yes, correct. It's an excellent way to still stay on brand, to share information, and to also collaborate with others, right? It's a way to hit all of those stones at once and to take some pressure off of you. If you see a great post out there that's already created, you like the imagery, you feel as though it could benefit others, and it's on brand, why not share it? Why not share it?
Now, you have taken your social media to the next level because you have not only done social media for your brand, for your clinic, but also you have done social media to work and engage with other brands. And so this is the part that really highlighted your skills and your expertise during the DPC Summit. But can you share about how you started working with brands and how that has morphed into a part of your social media presence?
Yes. So, I started working with brands a few years ago, and it really was just finding and connecting with companies online uh, that I had already, where I was already using their products. One of the very, very first companies that I started working with was a health and wellness company, and I purchased I'd been purchasing their products for years. Okay. Another company was a clothing and apparel company. And again, I'd been wearing their stuff already for years. So it was pretty easy, I'd say, to find some common grounds in connecting with the companies online and trying to just share their messages, because obviously these are companies I use. These are companies that I could personally vouch for, and sharing their messaging and branding with others who I felt could benefit from it.
Love that, because your high level advice was if somebody's getting started, just start with one. And now you're building on that by encouraging people to start with what they know and what they already love and use. So I want to ask there, when you're working with brands, and in your case, multiple brands. How do you keep it all organized in terms of if different brands are working with you all at once and they have different deadlines, different requirements, different types of posts, reels versus, just regular still photos? How do you keep it all organized?
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Have you tried an AI scribe in your clinic? Well, I've tried so many, and I can say Heidi Health is the best AI scribe I have come across thus far. With Heidi Health, I can create unlimited customizable templates for my notes to help me truly cut down on the time I'm spending charting. Template for pediatric well child check? Done. Template for weight loss management? Done. Some of my favorite things I've built into my AI template, beyond the general soap note, are having a list of actionables for our team to take after a patient visit, having the diagnoses listed, and creating an after-visit summary for our patients. Not only have I found Heidi Health to be the most helpful, customizable AI scribe so far, it's also more affordable than most out there. So try Heidi Health today and see how you can harness the power of an AI scribe for your practice. To get an entire month of Heidi Pro free, go to the homepage of mydpcstory.com and click on the Heidi Health ad.
Yeah, that's a great question. Sometimes I ask myself that too. But like I mentioned, I am a calendar girl, and I also have a spreadsheet, a handy dandy, simple spreadsheet where I keep the names of the brands that I'm currently working with. I keep names of brands who maybe I've reached out to in the past, who've reached out to me and maybe a partnership didn't work out. I just keep track of all of those things. So I would recommend finding, for someone who's interested in working with brands and companies, especially online or in the social media space, to make sure you have a way to keep track of the brands, who you're working with. And also in my spreadsheet, in addition to the brands, I'll include deadlines. I'll include deliverables. Are they looking for a static or an image post? Are they looking for videos, reels? Are they looking for stories? Has a contract already been sent out? Has it been returned? I keep a spreadsheet detailing all of those things. And to help everyone out there who's thinking about working with a brand, I actually created just a simple template that I think would be really helpful to keep track of brands that you work with or that you even reach out to. And it's a freebie, and you can check it out using the link that we'll share here.
And for those of you who might be looking for the link, just go to Dr. Kristamarie's blog on mydpcstory.com and you'll find the link there for the download. It's extremely helpful, and I think it's very comprehensive. So definitely check that out. Now, as you continue to work with brands, how do you adjust your value in terms of what jobs you take, if you're negotiating, how do you represent your value appropriately so you get compensated appropriately? Because the more, engagements you have, the more you're known out there, the more that you are highlighting a product.
That was something I struggled with initially when I was working with brands. I was just evaluating and assessing my value, thinking about how much, to negotiate, what's considered an appropriate compensation. And over time, I've had to learn that we in this space, especially as physicians, we have a lot to bring to the table when working with these brands. We are bringing our 10, 12, 15 plus years of education. We're bringing a lot to the table compared to some of the other individuals that a lot of brands and companies may work with. So I obviously took that into account. I started taking into account the growth of my social media platforms. And so as I continued to grow, that also added some value. And I started to look at the number of brands that were reaching out to me. So I took those things into account, and I still take those things into account when I'm negotiating with brands to make sure that I feel as though I'm getting fairly compensated. Again, you also want to make sure you're properly evaluating your time, right? Because your time really is your money. You think for myself, I think about my hourly rate. I think about all of the hats that I'm wearing when I'm working with brands. So You are creating the content, but you're also the makeup artist, you're the wardrobe artist, you are the videographer, you're the editor. You are wearing a lot of hats, and it can take some time. So you want to, again, just put some good value onto the time that you will be dedicating when you're working with the brands.
I love this. And this is why I think that people should really, check out Young Lady Watching, just because you come from such a place of expertise and you have learned by doing, and you are versed in clinical medicine, social media, being an independent woman who has had people not believe in her journey. And so I just love that you've gone full scope and you've created a platform for other people to help other people learn through your experiences and the experiences of the other mentors. So just love that. Now, when I talk about mentorship, one of the things that I want to highlight is you've worked with a coach before. And so this is something that I've seen a lot of chatter about recently in regards to why work with a coach. What would I look for in a coach? When you think about your experience with a coach, how did you decide that a coach was right for you? And what do you recommend to other people if they are looking for a coach, whether that be for business or for personal life coaching?
Yeah, so a few things to consider, if you are thinking about a coach, is obviously you want to make sure this is someone who you trust. This is someone who is going to be supportive and just positive for your goals. But most importantly, you want to make sure that they have receipts. Okay, you want to make sure that there's proof in whatever it is that you all have decided you're going to work towards, or that they are promising you the end goal. Have they done it before? Have they walked the walk before? Do they have proof of this that they can show you and share with you? What's their knowledge base? Those things, some of those things are important, especially if you're considering working with a coach.
Very valuable, especially because we are in a very currently small niche, but we are growing. But it's like the ability to understand DPC. Like I highlight, there's lawyers, and then there's lawyers who are familiar with DPC. There's coaches, and then there's coaches who are familiar with being a physician in DPC. So I think that those are really sage words for people to consider, because especially if it is a business coach relationship and it blooms into somebody that is amazing as a coach for you, then that relationship could continue on for quite a while.
Definitely. And it's, again, you mentioned it's a very niche space. And as physicians, it can be someone sees us and they want to work with us. They're looking at us and they see dollar signs, right? So again, you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself and you're just doing the appropriate research.
Fantastic. Now, in closing, because you have all of this experience, you shared how you became a doctor, how you created a nonprofit, how you created your own clinic, how you have expanded on social media and continue to do so. If a person is really identifying with your experience and now going into DPC, what words of encouragement would you have for those people?
Yes. So I would tell them to believe in yourself, know that it's possible, can be done. Take it one step at a time, right? You will be, or you may feel inundated with a number of things to do, a number of things to read, just so much out there, but take it one step at a time. And each time you take that step or you take that action, just cross it off your list. And remember that some seasons will be slow, but in the slow seasons, continue planting the seeds and you will reap the harvest later on. I promise.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kristamarie, for joining us today and sharing all of these words of wisdom with the audience.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it. And I hope that everyone was able to get something out of our conversation.
Next week, look forward to hearing from Dr. Jade Norris of Inspire Primary Care in Las Vegas, Nevada. If you've enjoyed the podcast and you haven't yet done so, subscribe today and share the episode with a physician you may know who needs to hear about DPC. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify now as well, as it helps others to find all these DPC stories. Lastly, be sure to follow us on social media. If you're wanting to continue learning more about DPC in the meantime, check out dpcnews.com. Until next week, this is Marielle Concepcion.